This meeting is being recorded.
So, welcome everyone. I've been invited to give some talk, some information about Vipassana. There are many different techniques of Vipassana. This technique specifically is coming from our late teacher who passed away in 2019. His name was Ajahn Tong Siramangalo, and it is from a Mahasi Sayadaw tradition, or a Burmese tradition, coming from the great Mahasi Sayadaw, was quite a famous monk. So our teacher walked to Burma from Thailand and studied under Mahasi Sayadaw and brought back the practice to Thailand and adjusted it accordingly to how it is today. So this, when we talk about, or when I talk about Vipassana, I'm talking about this, this technique specifically. So actually, what is Vipassana? Well, Vipassana actually is to see clearly, to see the reality of things as they appear, not as we assume that they are. Vipassana actually means to see through, to see clearly, to see beyond, and to have some intuitive understanding. And when we think about intuitiveness or insight, we can think about what the Buddhists call three types of wisdom. There is the first wisdom is coming from memory. So when we're a child, our mothers and our fathers or our teachers are helping us to understand things. We start to remember these, how to walk, how to talk. And the next wisdom is wisdom from thinking. And this is when we get to a certain age where we start to understand stuff for ourselves that we no longer need or even trust some of the teachers or even our parents. So this wisdom then is coming from thinking, understanding things for yourself. And normally we're in between these two types of wisdom. So wisdom from memory and wisdom from thinking. But when we embark on insight meditation, we're actually gaining the third type of wisdom, and this is insight wisdom. This is wisdom from clarity, or from Vipassana, to see something clearly. And this type of wisdom is only coming in these practices. So those who embark upon these practices normally get some kind of deep insight or deep wisdom. And from here, we can start to use this wisdom in our lifetimes. So what I would like to do is to invite you, just for some moments, to close your eyes, to sit comfortably, and to bring your awareness to physically how you sit. Maybe you can feel your bottom on the seat. You can feel your feet flat on the floor. Adjust yourself if you're not feeling that comfortable. And just begin to relax without any expectation, any desires, without wanting to achieve anything. Bringing your attention to this physical position of just sitting. And as we do this, we can also begin to bring awareness to our breath. And we're not trying to control this breath. We are just observing how this breath is taking place. And instead of paying attention to the breath in the nostrils, we are bringing our attention to the stomach or the abdomen. And we're just watching it expand and it contract. And we can put our hand on the stomach. If we can't feel it without the hand there, we can put the hand, and just as the stomach starts to rise, you can just be aware this is an in-breath. And as the stomach contracts, this is an out-breath. And for this in-breath and out-breath, we're going to name it as rising on the in-breath and falling on the out-breath. And like I said, we're not controlling nothing. We are just observing this rising and falling. As it is happening, you are saying the word rise. As the falling is happening, you're saying the word fall. And you're trying to just stay with this. And you're trying to also be relaxed. And if there is any distraction, we accept this sound, or maybe some pain, and we bring the attention to this distraction by just noting, maybe hearing, and then we come back to the next rising and falling. And we can change from one to another, where there is feeling, physical feeling in the body. This is where my attention may go to. I let go of rising or falling, and I just bring my attention to this sensation of feeling, maybe. And I will acknowledge feeling. And then I can see the mind is jumping, thinking. And I can acknowledge thinking. And what I am doing is I am just observing. I'm not trying to control. There is no desire to get anywhere, to be anywhere, even to do it correctly or perfectly. I am just observing thoughts arising and falling away, feelings arising and falling away, the stomach rising and falling. Just moving for a few moments in this space. as you sit in this space, you're aware of thoughts and feelings. So you can also be aware of the releasing of any need to do anything with them. And in this space, you can become free. Free from attachment, free from aversion. In this state, we are all and we are nothing. And when the mind is calmed and the body is relaxed, you can begin again. Take this to the light and work with more calmness, more freedom. Like when you're ready to open your eyes, you can also keep your eyes closed. This is welcome to do as you choose. So I explained that this practice is a Burmese practice, and our teacher Ajahn Tong perfected this teaching. And the temple where I taught 20 years ago, where I did the basic course 20 years ago, gave me some change of life, some insight that I started to begin to share this with others. So 14 years ago, I was invited to teach. And in that time, I've been teaching in different places in Europe, Greece, Austria, UK, Holland, Germany, Canada, France, different places, Italy. And I have come to realize the power of this Vipassana, the strength of this practice. I don't think it's for everybody, but I think many that do it will certainly benefit from this practice. So this practice, really, what is it? It's a walking and it's a sitting meditation. And the walking is beneficial in itself in that it's helping the digestive system. It's improving blood circulation. It's allowing us to walk longer. And it's fixing some old ailments, cleaning or flushing out toxins. And the ability to recognize what's happening in the body is coming from this insight. As we begin to do these retreats, whether it be 5-day, 12-day, 14-day, 21-day, we are starting to see with clarity what's happening in my body. That also includes what I put inside the body, especially the food that I put in. So I also recognize we are also doing retreats now. I did a retreat now with Karel and Yaka, who's teaching macrobiotics, and we used their food, and this also had amazing effect on the practice itself, not just for myself, but also for those taking part. So we're not always very clear about stuff, and the practice can give us some clarity. And it's also allowing us to look a bit deeper into what we're putting inside, not just food, but also information. Often the difficulties we have in the life that we struggle with are not really dealing with them. We're not really coping with stuff. If I asked all of us now, what's the most difficult thing that happened today or yesterday or last week, we all want to try to fix something. We all want to try to overcome something. The Buddha talked about this: do good, avoid evil, and purify the mind. Why are we purifying the mind? Because actually we don't want to suffer. And when we see the suffering, when we're doing retreats and we're seeing the suffering arising, we're seeing it for what it really is, not how we see it. If we take an example of somebody going on a 10-day course or a 14-day course, they are giving up their telephones, they're giving up their books, their yoga. They are sitting with themselves in a room with just maybe a bathroom and a toilet, and they are looking at themselves just by doing a practice of watching the breath or this mindful walking. They spend days just looking at themselves, and all of a sudden these hindrances arise. And in our practice, we talk about 5 hindrances. We talk about greed or desire. I can actually share it on the, can I share something?
Yes, do you know how?
So these 5 hindrances are what we struggle with day in and day out. There is craving or desire. There is hatred and anger. There is sloth and torpor, or tiredness and laziness. There is worry and restlessness, and there is doubt. So in our practice, these are appearing on a daily basis. Now we're just sitting in a room watching our breath or doing walking and sitting meditation, and we're wondering, why do I have a craving sense come up? What am I angry for? Why is it making me so tired? These things are happening in our daily life, but we don't get to see them because actually we're putting other things in their place. When we see these with this practice that actually is noting, it's pointing to these hindrances. I see a craving arise. And as it arises, I'm recognizing craving is arising. And the noting of the craving is pointing to it. It means it's not me. I'm not actually craving. Craving is arising in me. The same with anger. When the mind is pointing to something else, it's no longer identifying me with it. So the action in the practice is pointing to something else. Anger is arising, but it's not me. It's just anger arising. When I point and I acknowledge or I note anger, 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 I'm noting something outside myself. And then I bring my attention back to what I'm doing. What am I doing now? I'm just sitting. So I use that acknowledgement, sitting, sitting, sitting. So at one moment I'm pointing to anger. The next moment I'm pointing to myself. So this mind that was getting caught in anger now points to it and now points to something else. It's seeing that there is sitting. And as we start to use this technique in the practice, we're seeing that many things are coming and going. 1 minute there is anger, the next minute there is doubt. And actually I'm not getting involved in them. I'm just pointing to them. And I see that change is happening. Whilst doing this, I'm actually gaining faculties. I'm building these 5 faculties. When I first arrive at the retreat, maybe I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not sure how it's going to happen. Or maybe I'm not a very confident person. But this practice is actually giving me a lot more confidence. Most of the students that I know that lacked confidence go away with a lot of confidence because they know they can do it. This is a hard technique actually, but many people do it. So I'm building the confidence. I'm also building energy and effort because it's not easy. I'm building the concentration, or what we call the sampajana, the clear comprehension. So this practice is to be aware of. When you were sitting, I said, just watch what's happening. You don't have to try to manage anything. So in a practice of walking and sitting, you're only the observer. But you're not just the observer, observing now and then. You're observing as much as you can. That means you're building the concentration, or the sampajana, this clear comprehension. Now is now, and now is now, and now is now. So we're seeing things come and go, come and go, come and go. And actually you're staying with it. It's not easy to sit with something for a period of time without getting bored. But with practice and mindfulness, you're building the confidence and the concentration to enable you to stay with it. I can stay with it longer. If I can stay with things longer, I can stay with my partner longer. I can cope with the colleague better than I did. I can deal with my family better because I'm building the confidence to say, it's okay. I can stay longer. I can give more. I can let go a little bit. And the energy and effort is building from it. It's not tiring me. If I go into a situation that is very, very challenging, it can wear me out. But at the same time, if I go into it with mindfulness and the ability to be present, what I'm doing is I'm keeping myself topped up by the energy that I've created. I can stay longer. Many people do some of these retreats. If you speak to them before, say, well, I'll never be able to do that. But actually, most of them all do it. And they're gaining wisdom. And it's the mindfulness that actually allows them to keep coming back again and again and again, coming back to the present moment, recognizing that at any state, at any place, we can always use mindfulness. And what else is building this is the ability to do good. This sila, we call it morality. In the retreats, we have we ask people to embark upon precepts, these rules The first one is not to kill, and not to steal is the second. Not to have wrong sex, not to hurt anybody. And the fourth one is not to use foul language or gossip or tell lies. And the fifth one is not to be intoxicated by drugs and alcohol. By keeping these rules or these precepts, especially in the retreat, we actually add 3 more in the retreat. Actually, the sixth one is not eating solid food after midday. The seventh one is no makeup or entertainment. And the eighth one is no comfortable living, like sleeping on or lounging on comfortable beds. But the Buddhists use these 5 precepts as a way to support their life. And when you're paying attention to these, to not killing anything, to not stealing, all of these 5 precepts, what you're doing is you're gaining what we call wholesome activity in the mind. And the mind is affecting the body, and vice versa. The body is also affecting the mind. So in keeping precepts or morality, we're not just supporting ourselves for the present, but also for the future. The mindfulness to come back and to remember what we're doing here and now and where the mind's going to go to, because somebody has just turned up and I don't like this person, and maybe I'm going to react to something they're going to say, is giving me the opportunity to just acknowledge there and then, feeling, disliking. It's given me some moments to come back to being present. And like the Buddha said, do good, help others, avoid evil. Don't damage yourself by damaging others. And purify the mind with meditation. This comes from what the Buddha, the first Dharma talk the Buddha talked about was the 4 Noble Truths, that we do suffer, that we all suffer in the life. But it doesn't happen by itself. It happens because there is a cause. There's always a cause and effect. And the good thing is that there is a remedy, or there is a way out of suffering. And the remedy or the way out is this path that leads to nirvana, or we call it the Eightfold Path, that to have right view, to have right thought, to have right speech, to have right action, to have right energy and effort. Sorry, to have right livelihood, to have right energy and effort, to have right mindfulness, and to have right concentration. The Buddha said, if you follow these, you will for sure end up in nirvana, or free from suffering, whether you like it or not. And when we look at right view, we all want to do good, really. We don't want to, we want the wisdom. But often we're affected by the life. And the thought that arises in our minds is not always clean or clear or just. And sometimes we are responding or reacting from the mind with wrong speech. I think something and it's not correct. And in the end, I say something that is also not correct. And if I'm not careful, I will also act in a negative way. So this eightfold path is also giving us an ability to walk away that is beneficial for ourselves. And then we have 3 characteristics. We see that everything that happens changes, that nothing actually lasts. The car that we had that was brand new, it's got scratches on it. We're scared that it's going to get a dent in it, but it changes. The relationship that was beautiful in the beginning suddenly has become a little mundane, not exciting anymore. Everything changes. And because things change, we can see that it's causing suffering. Because actually we want to hold on. We want to hold on to the things. We don't want them to change. We want to keep that good feeling. The reality is that it will change. And when it does, we suffer. And suffering is the second characteristic of all phenomena. And the last characteristic is we don't have the ability to control it. We think we do, but it is a delusion or sometimes an illusion. Can we control our health? This is a good question because actually we are trying to eat well, be physical, try to do the things, not to not to smoke or drink or do things that actually are not healthy for the body. But at the same time, we cannot control the health. We cannot stop ourselves from getting sick. We can certainly make inroads to helping us survive longer, but we don't have full control. We cannot control our age. And sometimes we cannot control our feelings. And doing a practice that is going to give you that tool to be able to manage some of these feelings, some of these emotions. As difficult as the life is, there is a possibility, actually, if this tool of Vipassana is of any benefit, I'm going to need to learn how to use it. And I'm going to need to use it in many different places. And it's going to have to adjust to different situations. And over the years, I realized how we can really use this tool, this mindfulness, or this acknowledging these difficulties, using this noting, this acknowledgement, by being aware of what is happening right here, right now. How do I feel about giving this talk? I'll be honest with you, I've been teaching for 14 years and giving lots and lots of talks. This is probably the most nervous I've ever felt. But you know something? Also, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. And we get what we get. It's not about what's right or wrong. It's about how we deal with it. It's about how we deal with the difficulties that arise. Because we will get difficulties. And we're not always going to get it correct. We're not always going to be perfect. But we all can use some mindfulness in recognizing it don't feel good, but it is what it is. It's okay. I don't need to judge myself or to judge others. We do want things to be perfect. We don't want to fail in many ways. If an old lady falls over in the street, what do? We pick her up. And what do we say? How are you? Are you okay? You need anything? We help her. But how many times we fall over ourselves and we judge ourselves for falling over? The first thing we do is feel embarrassed, you know? And sometimes it's okay to fall over. And sometimes it's okay to get it wrong. And sometimes it's okay to be the best friend to ourselves. And embarking on a practice that's going to allow you to see yourself and to see your challenges and to see your characteristics. Sometimes we don't like what we see. We don't have to judge it. It's an opportunity to think about the changes we can make in our life. An opportunity to forgive and forget. An opportunity to be better than who we think we are. We can be a rock, actually. It can rain, but we're just a rock. It can be windy, but we're just a rock. It can be cold, we're just a rock. The sun can beat down on us, we are just a rock. Sometimes it's more simple than we understand. We make things difficult, actually. And the opportunity to bring yourself into a place where you can just relax and let go and watch without judgment. I realize there's only probably 5 minutes to go. So I think I should open it up for any questions if anybody has questions. Is that
You can
okay?
stop your screen share if you want.
Okay.
Here you go.
Has that screen share been on all the time? And
That's all right. It's just a rock.
just a rock.
So my question is about creating or building or something, the discipline to do this.
I think for a lot of people, the discipline actually frightens them a little bit, you know. And I noticed in 14 years of teaching that a lot of people go away saying, I'm going to do this every day, and I'm going to do it sometimes every hour of the day, which is a little bit crazy. But the discipline doesn't make a difference. Whether you can shorten your desire to do it for maybe 1 hour or 45 minutes to the smallest amount that you can do, but continue to do it. This is more beneficial. I perceive this to be more beneficial than to try to do long periods of meditation, you know, where you're not disciplining yourself. It's coming and going. Eventually, a lot of the people that do the practice and they don't practice so much at home, they keep coming back to doing the retreats because it's quite powerful.
Mhm.
But I also have many students that actually only do practice at home. And it's filling the bucket drip by drip. It doesn't matter how small the amount is.
Yeah, it's cumulative, isn't it? Yeah, you add a drop here and a drop there, and it doesn't go away.
Exactly.
You always have it accessible to you.
Yeah.
Going forward.
And it's putting it in the bank, you know. It's adding all of these mindful practices or moments that we have. Our teacher used to say, it's adding up. You cannot calculate it really, but it is adding up and it's making a difference. And after years of practice, you see just how valuable it has been and how fortunate, I feel fortunate that actually I stuck with this practice. Yes. So, is there any other questions? I will pass on the information if anybody's interested in doing any of these retreats. And we also have now retreats that are including some macrobiotic information with the food, of course. And this we hope to be doing next year. So if anybody's interested in that, we can also give the information to Ginat.
Where might those be?
At the moment, we're looking at the Netherlands, but we're thinking to try to also bring it to the UK as well. So this would be like a mixture of the food, the meditation, and the yoga. So, and at the moment we're thinking about like a week, 7 days. So we can share that information with you. Good.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm Amadeus, by the way, but just some questions on the chat, I think, from someone. Carl Raftis.
Are the classes for teenage? I can see actually here. They're not well. We try to keep it for adults, but teenagers can actually learn this mindfulness. But it would need to be done on a lighter basis. But I would be happy for teenagers to come and do a lighter practice. It's also saying, where do you teach? What is the top book you recommend? Well, one of the books is, there is our teacher's got a book online called The Only Way by Ajahn Tong. I can also send that information to Ginat if that's good.
Sure.
I do have a website. I will also send those over as well. I think, is that it?
Thank
Hello,
you very
Martin.
much. It was very nice.
Hello, Martin. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Karel.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for wonderful, calm, and simple yet very clear presentation. It's always such a pleasure to hear your wonderful explanation about how to do it and how great it is. I would like to ask you, as someone who has vast experience with teaching thousands of people around the world, these days the word meditation is very much overused and abused. A lot of people talk about it, but hardly ever done it. A lot of us believe that my riding a bicycle or knitting a sweater or doing some household works is actually meditation. And of course, it is beneficial. It brings us some calmness of mind. But what would you recommend to all of us who sometimes struggle to really keep the practice every single day or on a regular basis? Is the benefit into really going into learning meditation and learning it from an experienced teacher or under guidance and adding it to our lives besides those activities which bring us calmness and peace of mind?
It's a great question, Karel, and thank you for that. You're right. There is meditation now is on most people. Mindfulness is on most people's lips. When we think about this type of practice, it originated only for monks in the early days. Lay people weren't actually allowed to do this. They recognized that it was beneficial for lay people too. So to do this work is to do this type of practice is giving you very, very deep insights. To do it on a daily basis yourself without a knowledge or without a teacher's guidance, I don't think people were going to come close to the kind of results that you would get from this. And I must also, and this is not, I don't mean to boast in any way, but I've had people that have come to the retreat who have been practicing Zen and other practices for many, many years, some of them 60, 70 years of age, and practiced all their lives and been so woken up by this practice because somehow it is very, very deep and is going somewhere. My suggestion would be, if you can get to do one of these courses, get to do one. You'll see for yourself. If you want to just, there's a lot of people that are trying to do stuff on their own. I wouldn't suggest doing this on your own. You really do need a teacher. This is very important for this type of practice. So I don't know if that answers your question, Karel, but
yes, it does. Thank you.
Good. Okay. I don't know if we're run out of time or
Just about.
just about. Okay.
So then it remains only to thank you for not only the information, that's much more than that. It's the calmness that you present and the steadiness and the ease. It's such a pleasure. And I really appreciate it.
I want to add, we did not feel that you were nervous at all.
Right.
At all.
It's probably the nervous I've ever been in years, but at the end of the day, the practice helps.
It's just us.
Yeah. It's just me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.